The annual camping trip was supposed to be our escape. 4 couples, 8 friends, 3 days in the wilderness of Glacier National Park. No cell service, no work calls, just us against nature with beer coolers and half-working Coleman stoves. We've been doing this for 7 years straight. Ever since college graduation, when we all promised not to drift apart like those other friend groups. Jamie and I had been having problems for months. The kind where you both pretend everything's fine around others, but sleep facing opposite walls at home. Something was off, but I couldn't pinpoint what. She'd been working late, always on her phone, smiling at texts from coworkers. Classic signs I was too blind to see. Marcus had been my best friend since freshman year. Best man at my wedding. Godfather to our daughter. The guy who helped me rebuild my transmission when I couldn't afford a mechanic. We'd survived everything together. Job losses, deaths in the family, his struggle with alcohol after his brother's accident. The first day at camp was normal enough. We hiked to the waterfall, grilled burgers, played cards. But I noticed the glances. The way Jamie would look at Marcus when she thought no one was watching. How they'd both volunteer to get more firewood. Little things that seem obvious now. That night, I woke up around 3 a.m. needing to pee. Jamie wasn't in our tent. I figured she'd gone to the bathroom, but after 15 minutes, concern got the better of me. Our campsite was remote. Bears were a legitimate concern. I grabbed my flashlight and walked toward the communal bathroom area. Empty. Then I heard it. Hushed laughter coming from the direction of Marcus and Ellie's tent. There was something intimate about that laugh, something I recognized from happier times with Jamie. I approached slowly, telling myself there was a reasonable explanation. Maybe Jamie had a nightmare and needed to talk. Maybe they were planning a surprise for the group. Maybe. But I knew. In that moment, I knew. When I unzipped the tent flap, the beam of my flashlight revealed everything. They didn't even hear me at first, too wrapped up in each other. Jamie's eyes finally met mine, widening with shock rather than guilt. Marcus scrambled to cover himself. "Dave, wait," he started. But something in me snapped. 15 years of friendship, 8 years of marriage, all reduced to this betrayal in nylon tent on a goddamn camping trip. I lunged at Marcus, yanking him out of the tent by his neck. The first punch connected with his jaw before my brain even registered what my body was doing. Then another to his stomach, and another to his face. "Dave, stop!" Jamie screamed, struggling to get dressed. But I couldn't stop. Each punch was for a different memory. Our wedding day, the birth of our daughter, the nights I worked double shifts so Jamie could finish her degree, the times Marcus had listened to me talk about how much I loved my wife. Blood sprayed from his nose onto my knuckles. I barely felt the pain in my hand. "What's going on here?" Ellie's voice cut through the night like a knife. She stood there in flannel pajamas, flashlight beam dancing wildly across the scene. Her half-naked husband bleeding on the ground, my wife clutching a blanket around herself, and me with blood-covered knuckles poised for another strike. Time seemed to freeze. The crickets chirped indifferently. Someone in a distant campsite snored, oblivious to our unfolding tragedy. I lowered my fist slowly, suddenly aware of the throbbing pain in my hand. The rage that had possessed me moments before gave way to a strange clarity. "Just a disagreement over my cheating wife," I said, voice steadier than I felt. "You didn't know your husband was sleeping with her?" I'll never forget the transformation on Ellie's face. Confusion to disbelief to understanding to fury, all in the span of seconds. She looked at Marcus sprawled on the ground, then at Jamie still huddled half-dressed by the tent entrance. Without a word, she lunged forward and grabbed a fistful of Jamie's hair, yanking hard enough to pull her completely out of the tent. Jamie screamed. Campers from neighboring sites started shouting. Flashlights appeared in the distance. "How long?" Ellie demanded, still gripping Jamie's hair. "How long?" 8 months, Marcus mumbled through bloody lips. "I'm sorry, Elle. I'm so—" "Shut up," she screamed. Then, turning back to Jamie, "We vacationed together. I watched your daughter while you two had date nights. I made you soup when you had COVID." By now our other friends had emerged from their tents. Tom and Sarah, Ben and Melissa, all stumbling onto this nightmare in various states of confusion. "Someone explain what the hell is happening," Tom demanded, taking in the scene with wide eyes. "What's happening?" I said. "Is that my soon-to-be ex-wife has been sleeping with my soon-to-be ex-best friend for 8 months. And apparently we're the last to know." "That's not true," Melissa said quietly. All eyes turned to her. "What?" I asked. She looked at the ground. We didn't know for sure, but we suspected." The second betrayal hit almost as hard as the first. "You suspected my wife was cheating with Marcus and said nothing?" "We didn't want to get involved," Ben mumbled. "We thought maybe we were imagining things." I laughed, a hollow, broken sound. "Fantastic. Just fantastic." Rain started to fall, fat drops turning quickly into a downpour. None of us moved. We just stood there, for couples whose lives were unraveling in real time while the rain soaked through our clothes. Ellie finally released Jamie's hair and stepped back. "My mother was right about you," she said to Marcus. "She always said you'd never changed, just gotten better at hiding it." Marcus sat up, spitting blood onto the mud. "Ellie, please. We can talk about this." "I want a divorce," she cut him off. Then looked at me. "You should get one too." I nodded slowly. Already decided. Jamie was crying now, makeup running down her face in black streaks. "Dave, this isn't how I wanted you to find out. I was going to tell you. When?" I demanded. "After dropping our daughter at college? At my funeral? When exactly was the right time going to present itself?" The rain fell harder. Thunder rumbled in the distance. Dawn broke with cruel brightness. None of us had slept much after the confrontation. Our idyllic campsite had transformed into a crime scene of emotional carnage, with invisible chalk outlines around our broken relationships. Marcus had a broken nose and possibly a fractured orbital socket. He'd need medical attention, but the nearest hospital was 2 hours away. I found myself in the surreal position of helping Ellie pack their things while Jamie sat alone by the dying campfire, staring into nothing. "I'm taking him to the ER," Ellie said, voice flat. "Not because I care if he suffers, but because I don't want him dying before I get half of everything." I nodded. We understood each other now in ways we never had before. As she loaded their bags into their SUV, she paused. "Did you ever suspect?" "Even once." "No," I admitted. "I trusted them both completely." She smiled bitterly. "Same. What kind of fools does that make us?" "The faithful kind," I replied. Ellie hesitated, then pulled a flash drive from her pocket. "Last month I borrowed Marcus's laptop to finish a work presentation when mine crashed. Found this in his documents. Downloaded it, but couldn't bring myself to look." "Maybe you should." I took it wordlessly, knowing whatever it contained would only hurt more, but also knowing I'd need every piece of evidence for what came next. Our other friends kept their distance, huddled around their own campfire, occasionally glancing our way. Eventually, Tom approached cautiously. "We're heading out," he said. "This trip is obviously over." Obviously, I agreed. For what it's worth, we should have said something. I looked at him. This man I'd known for 15 years, who'd watched my marriage disintegrate and chosen silence. "You're right," I said. "You should have." After everyone left, only Jamie and I remained. The campsite felt enormous now. She approached me tentatively as I mechanically packed our tent. "What happens now?" she asked. "Now? We go home. You tell our daughter why her parents are separating. I call a lawyer. You find somewhere else to live." "Dave, I know I've ruined everything, but..." "Why him?" I interrupted. The question had been burning through my brain all night. "My best friend? Was it just convenience? Or was hurting me part of the thrill?" She flinched. "It wasn't about hurting you. It just happened." "Affairs don't just happen, Jamie. You make choices. Every secret text, every lie about working late, every time you kissed him, those were all choices." Tears streamed down her face. "I still love you." "No," I said, surprising myself with how certain I felt. "You don't. Because love requires respect, and you clearly have none for me." The drive home was 6 hours of suffocating silence. I kept seeing Marcus's bloodied face, Ellie's devastation, Jamie's betrayal. I thought about our daughter, waiting at her grandmother's, oblivious to the fact her world was about to change forever. As we neared our neighborhood, Jamie finally spoke again. "Can we at least try counseling? For Emma's sake?" I considered this as we pulled into our driveway, the home we'd built together, the garden we'd planted, the porch swing where we used to watch sunsets. "No," I said finally. "Emma deserves parents who model honest relationships. Starting over separately is better than teaching her to accept betrayal." I stepped out of the car and walked toward the house that was no longer a home, carrying the weight of endings and the strange, terrifying hope of new beginnings. I appreciate you watching till the end. Hit that subscribe button and stay tuned for more content.